So the real question is, how can we, as entrepreneurs, health experts, and personal development gurus who want balance in our lives and aren't content to sit on the sidelines, limiting our full potential in body, connection, power, and wealth, help you live your full potential in life? That's exactly what we are talking about today. I'm Dr. Amelia.
And I'm Dr. Jeremy. Welcome to Transforming Self.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in your day. I hope it has been an amazing day. So today we're going to talk about how we stay healthy in life. We feel like this is an important topic all the time, but especially right now when people are under a little more stress, and stress kind of wears your body down and wears your immune system down. We want to talk about what we're doing in hopes to give you some ideas on what you can do in your life.
Last week, I talked about supplements and vitamins that can help optimize your immune system. And we want to continue with that and talk about movement and how that can help optimize your immune system. Among other things, improving cardiovascular health, decreasing stress, the tolls on the body, and just the overall health of just moving your body.
So I work out a lot. I really enjoy working out and moving. Mainly what I do is lift weights. I am a member of a small personal training gym in my hometown. Well, not really my hometown. It's not where I'm from, but in the town I live in now, Lawrence. And actually, we had Zach and Whitney on our episode a couple of weeks ago. So I work out with them usually 4 times a week, maybe 5 times a week, because lifting weights is something that I've done for a very long time. And it really empowers me. It makes me feel good about what I'm doing. I really enjoy weightlifting. I also bike. I used to do triathlons all the time. So swimming, biking, and running. No, I don't swim as much as I used to. I was a swimmer in high school, and I still enjoy swimming. But right now, I think most of our pools are closed. And since I don't have my own pool yet, I can't swim. Biking is something Jeremy and I do together. We both enjoy biking a lot. We actually have a 2-day bike ride that we're going to be doing coming up this quarter. That's one of our targets this quarter, is this bike ride together. So I'm really excited about that, and running. So Jeremy's more of a runner than I am. It's actually something I haven't really enjoyed, but one of my body target for last quarter was running a half marathon. Now that was scheduled when COVID happened, so it got canceled, but I decided to run it anyways. So I ran a half marathon last quarter, and I haven't run much since, but I was just telling Jeremy this morning that I really need to start running again because it really does make me feel good. And I feel, a little more empowered when I'm running.
I personally enjoy running, but weightlifting is extremely important. And I just kind of want to hit on some of those benefits of weightlifting or resistance training in general. And people of all ages should do this. Now, obviously, if you're younger, you have kids, you want to do this very intelligently. You don't want kids lifting too much too soon. If you're older, same situation. Just make sure the workout fits you. But there's benefits to weightlifting or resistance training that we don't even think about. For the elderly, it can increase strength and reduce the risk of falls. And that's a big one that we see in our practices all the time. It also helps with endurance. You're stimulating your cardiovascular system. And depending on the type of lifting, I personally, if I'm lifting, I like to do it more as an endurance workout rather than throwing around heavy weights. But we all have different goals. It can also, being chiropractors, help improve your posture. And how it does this is when you're lifting weights, you always need to maintain form. And you can work on certain core muscles, which helps with posture, which good posture leads to good health. Other things weightlifting helps with is it can actually help regulate insulin, help fat metabolism, and fat loss. So that should motivate you right there. The last things that weightlifting can do is it can help increase bone strength. Our body is constantly adapting. So if we're putting stressors on it from resistance training, it's going to help increase not only the strength of our muscles, but also our bones. And we know this is very important, especially for women.
And that's what I was going to touch on when he was talking about that strength training for women is really important for bone strength. So I know women as they get older are worried about osteoporosis. When our hormones start to change, we go through menopause, our bones can be a little weaker. And a lot of women are told to eat calcium, take calcium supplements. I'm of the opinion that that's maybe not the best thing to do. Now, I'm not opposed to calcium, but one, I think there's better ways to get it than milk and calcium supplements. And two, strength training really builds our bones and keeps our bones strong better sometimes than certain calciums, especially if you're taking a bunch of calcium supplements that aren't coming from whole foods. So there are foods that are high in calcium, like leafy greens, spinach and stuff like that is very high in calcium. So eating that in your diet is very important. But strength training puts stress on the bone. And when you put stress on the bone, your bones start making more bone and making it stronger. So as women, strength training is one of the number one things you can do to keep your bones healthy. And like Jeremy mentioned, cardiovascular health. Cardiovascular health is very important for men and women. So you can go out and run and you can go out and bike, but some people don't like doing cardio workouts. And I'm kind of one of those. So I would rather just lift my weights faster, or do something like that, appropriate weights, not like super heavy weights and lift them as fast as I can. But you can get a really good cardiovascular workout as you are lifting weights. And the classes I take, that's kind of what they are. They're kind of a mix of weightlifting and cardiovascular, which I really, really enjoy.
I prefer running. And one of the reasons I enjoy running now is I feel empowered when I do it. It was something that I absolutely despised a few years ago. And I've tried multiple times in my life to start endurance running. And I struggled with it, and I could stick with it for a while, but it seemed like I would either get injured from just doing too much too soon, or it just got boring, this and that. So I basically found a creative way to make it more enjoyable. And I discovered run walking. And not only that, I discovered doing it in a group is extremely empowering. We encourage each other. You have that social aspect where you go through this with someone else that is struggling in the same way, and you just seem to benefit and stay more motivated. So the run walking, the main reason I like it is because you do intervals, and I push my body and then I rest and just walk, and then push my body and rest. I can get my per mile time down compared to just running alone. So if I'm run walking, I'm actually quicker in my mile times than I am just running alone.
Running is probably my least favorite thing to do. I'm a real slow runner, and sometimes that frustrates me, especially when I'm running with Jeremy, because I'm just out there just doodling along and he just kind of takes off. Even when he's run walking, I'm still way slower than him. So that's why last quarter, my body target was a half marathon. Now I've done half marathons before, but it had been part of a half Ironman, which is way more intense than a half marathon. If you don't know what a half Ironman is, it's a 1.2 mile swim, a 56 mile bike, and then a 13.1 mile run at the end. So when I was 10 years younger, I used to do those often. I used to do lots of shorter triathlons, and then I did that, the half Ironman. I don't think I'll ever do a full Ironman. That doesn't really interest me anymore, but I did love triathlons, and that was all cardio, and I got really good at them, and I would, place in my age groups, doing triathlons. And then I started weightlifting more. And then I started doing figure competitions, which is pretty much all weightlifting. And now I'm kind of back to wanting to be a little more in balance. While I love weightlifting and I love being in the gym, moving heavy weights and, feeling very, very strong, I also understand the balance of needing to have that cardiovascular component of it. And that's why, lifting a little bit lighter weights and lifting them, maybe a little faster or higher reps can actually give you that really good cardiovascular workout.
So with exercise, whatever you choose, whether it's running, weightlifting, currently we are training for a 104-mile bike ride, which we're excited to do, just a new challenge. And we want to give you some guidelines, not only to protect yourself from injury if you start exercising, but also just so you maximize what you're doing. And we always recommend, before starting an exercise program, definitely talk to your healthcare provider, talk to someone who is well-versed in athletic trainer or something, a personal trainer, someone that can help get you started. Because at any age, typically when you start exercising, this is my experience, is you feel really good at first and you feel empowered, you feel stronger, and you push yourself a little too much, a little too soon. This is what I see with everyone that joins our run group is, they go and they blast out and they're feeling good. And then we're 2 weeks in and their knees bothering them, their ankle, their back, just whatever it may be. So I am very diligent with our runners to say, I know it's boring here in the beginning because we're going so slow and we're not really pushing ourselves, but we need to get in shape before we really push our bodies. So before exercising, make sure you warm up. It's very important. A lot of us older folks in high school and sports, we started with static stretching. I personally don't recommend this. I recommend more of a dynamic stretching before working out. So whether this is high knees, arm rotations, it's easy to Google, it's easy to find this information, but find a dynamic warm-up and spend 5 to 10 minutes doing that before you start exercising. And then after you're done exercising, a cool down is good. So if you're running or lifting weights or really pushing your body at a higher level, simply walking is a good cool down. And then adding some static stretching to make sure you're lengthening those muscles, help keep the circulation in there so that acidity doesn't build up that inflammation. And it can actually help you avoid some soreness that way also.
I've always been a really bad stretcher. And, like Jeremy said, the actual dynamic warm-up is really the best instead of the static stretching. Static stretching is better after you exercise and after a cool down to do some stretching like that, because you don't really want to stretch a cold muscle because then you're just pulling that muscle really tight. So you want to stretch a warm muscle. I also really enjoy hot yoga. So a lot of people love yoga. It's a great stretch. It's a great workout. It's really good for getting some long, lean muscles. But for me personally, regular yoga is boring. I just don't enjoy it that much. I'll do it a little bit, but it's just not something I really enjoy. Probably because I really like lifting weights. And so the yoga, I don't feel like I'm doing much. But when I go to hot yoga and I sweat my ass off, but when I sweat, it really makes me feel like I'm doing something. So, Bikram yoga is hot yoga. There's a couple different yoga places in Lawrence that do different yoga flows that are hot yoga. So if that's something that interests you, I would suggest looking up a hot yoga studio where you are and trying it out. You might find that you like it better than regular yoga, especially if you're somebody who doesn't really like regular yoga because you don't feel like it's doing much. And it's also really good for just meditation purposes because there's parts of the yoga that I do that we lay on the mat and we do some meditation. And I'm a really bad meditator in general. It's something that I always feel like I should do, but then I don't do it because I don't really want to do it. When I have a more regular yoga practice, I'm incorporating some of that meditation into my life on those days. So look up hot yoga if that's something that interests you.
So we want to bring this all around of why we're talking about exercise. And we're giving you some ideas of exercises we do, things you can do, but we want to wrap this around to how does it benefit the immune system? A lot of the data is unclear on this, but exercise has shown to do certain things to the body that may help with our immune system. A big one, especially right now, is physical activity may help flush bacteria out of the lungs and airways. And we know right now, the brief rise in body temperature, which we know, we've talked about fevers before if you've ever listened to any of our podcasts, but fevers are actually good because that's our body's first line of defense against bacterial or viral overgrowth. So that brief rise in body temperature could actually help ward off some of those bacteria and viral overgrowths. Something important though, if you are feeling run down, do not push yourself with exercise. Keep it very light, very moderate, because this is what's been shown to help your immune system the most. And a big one with the stress is exercise has been shown to slow down the release of stress hormones. So this is a good practice when you're under stress. And a lot of people can attest to this. When they're feeling stressed, they exercise, they just feel a little bit better. Even if it's only for those moments of exercising, it does give you a break from stress. And that's what we all need to focus on right now.
Yeah, stress is a really big thing, right? All the time, especially right now, when tensions are high and people are at each other's throat and, putting each other down, and elections coming up. And there's just so much going on right now in our world with stress. Exercise can really help that. Like Jeremy said, it helps release or reduce those stress. So exercise also helps release endorphins, and endorphins make you feel good. They make you feel better. So exercising will release those hormones into your bloodstream. And yeah, like Jeremy said, maybe it's only for that moment, but endorphins can last for a long time after released. So you might find that for hours you feel better after exercising. I know I do. Sometimes I don't want to exercise. I don't feel good. And it's not like I don't feel good sick. I don't feel good mentally, or, maybe even I have a little, back pain or shoulder pain or something just is feeling a little bit off. When I go to the gym and I exercise, I almost 100% of the time feel better leaving the gym than I did going into the gym. So exercise is important for our day-to-day life and health, and mental health especially.
So if you listened to the podcast last week, you know that right now we are offering a challenge to everyone to implement into their life. Last week, it was adding something green to your diet every single day. So this week, we want you to add exercise. Whether it's just moving for 10 minutes or 30 minutes, let's try to do that every single day. And as a bonus, if you can get outside and get some sunshine, that's your bonus right there. And breathe that fresh air.
Yes, breathe fresh air. Fresh air is important. All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed listening to what we had to say about exercise and what it does for our body. Next week, we're going to be talking about stress management. So we'll talk all about stress management and what we're doing right now to help our bodies reduce stress besides exercise, because there's a lot of other things we can do to reduce stress in our lives. So until next time, be courageous.
Again, we want to thank you for joining us today, and we want to encourage you to join our Facebook group. We want to connect with you, we want to hear from you, and we really want to get an understanding of what's happening in your lives. Our Facebook group is Transforming Self with Doctors Jeremy and Amelia Rodrock, and we're going to make sure and post that link in our show notes. Take care.
Bye.